Progressive overload is the key to muscle growth. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. This is one of these topics that when people bring it up, they're like, well, what's the driver of growth? Is it volume? Is it progress? Is it just putting more weight on the bar? And the answer to that is the thing that I will point out, irrespective of how much volume you're doing, irrespective of whatever factors are going on, progressive overload and progressive tension will always really be the driver of hypertrophy. And we can say that once you are through the early novice phase, this is always the case. Meaning, yes, there can be a lot more neural drive early on. Okay, we need to be clear. Like novice lifters, you get the most neural drive, the most improved neuromuscular efficiency, usually in the first few weeks that you are lifting that you're going to get for the rest of your life. Okay. Yeah, it's a big factor there because, again, the human body is resistant to gaining muscle. It doesn't want to gain muscle immediately. Okay, it doesn't want to do it because, again, it's metabolically expensive. We're kind of designed to survive ice ages, famines, all that stuff. Gaining muscle is not something your body just inherently wants to do immediately. So that being said, it will try to improve neural drive first. It'll try to improve neuromuscular efficiency to avoid future injury to the loads. But once they become chronic, stressed, and yes, it responds by accruing more and more muscle fibers, more tissue proteins, doing these things, okay? Enormous part of the process, though. All right, the same thing when it comes to strength gains. People say, well, how come my maxes go up and down if I lift really heavy versus not? Yeah, but we're also talking about maxes, and then you're talking about, again, a little bit of neural drive, okay? Talking about a little bit of neural drive happening. Sure, but how soon before that maxes out? In other words, usually like 3-4 weeks. Okay, if you haven't done any heavy singles at all and you've just done, 6+ reps, yes, you will progressively get stronger at heavy singles and maxes for a few weeks. Okay, but then it will go down. But what's not going to happen is your 10 rep maxes are not necessarily going to go up in proportion to that. And this is kind of the key when we're talking about progressive overload. In other words, we'll just take the bench press, right? Everyone's favorite lift. All right, let's say you've been doing, 225 for 9 to 10 reps for a little while, and that's about all you can get. And then you go to do a heavy single, 300 feels really heavy, but you grind it out. Then you get 305, then you get, like the third week, you get 315, right? So you really, your max might go up about 10, 15 pounds. You do it for another couple of weeks at 315, moves a little smoother. People say, well, see, that means that you're wrong about the progressive overload. But no, it's just on your maxes, which have a skill component. What's not going to happen is that your 225 for more reps, unless weight changed significantly or some other factor changed, it's not going to go up significantly. It's probably going to stay right at about 9 to 10 reps, and then you're going to be hitting failure or have grinders, okay, with that 225. It's not going to change. So therefore, did your progressive overload go up? No, you just got a little better at maxing out as a skill. Okay. When we understand that is a skill and a neural drive component also, just like the noob gains, when we set that aside and we remove those two big variables, either doing really low reps, when you haven't been doing them, or novice untrained effect, or maybe adding a novel lift that you haven't done, relatively heavy. Okay, those are all skill learning. All right, when we are done with any of those, it comes down to progressive overload. And if you are seeing progress, that means, examples, you can do more reps with the 225, okay? Let's say you get to where you can do 11 reps. All right, that's progressive overload. If you've only been able to squeeze out 9 to 10, then all of a sudden, with the same form, same tempo, same range of motion, able to get 11. That's progressive overload. Or you add 230 to the bar and you get 9. Say you've been doing 9 to 10. You've gone up 5 pounds. So what if you go up 2.5 pounds and you're still getting the same reps, right? From 225 to 227.5, the microplates. That is progressive overload. All right, that is probably causing more muscle growth, or it's signs that you have gained muscle. Okay? All right, so this is what we are talking about. Progressive overload, but it also means more progressive tension on the muscle. And in other words, it's also, was the tempo relatively similar? Yes. Was the range of motion the same? That's a big one. And especially when we're talking about the bottom. We don't care about tops of lifts on that so much, right? Why? Because we're usually stronger. Most free weight exercises, we don't have the same progressive tension. Like the tension is not as extreme at the muscular level as they are into the lengthen and stretch positions. Okay, so skipping up there, probably not as significant. I mean, it may be significant, but maybe less so. But those lengthened positions, again, as long as there's tension in them, there can be exercises where the tension is unloaded just due to the nature of the movement, but usually not. Okay, so I mean, if we're talking about a pull-up, a squat, a bench press, that bottom is usually going to have the most mechanical tension on the muscle. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about increasing mechanical tension on individual muscles and specifically on individual muscle fibers. Hey, that also occurs with reps, and that's what people don't get. They're like, well, wait a minute, how does the more reps? Because it means that more total muscle fibers probably got hit with that tension. Okay, because mechanical tension isn't just at the level of the tendon and into the muscle. That mechanical tension we're talking about with progression is also at the level of the individual muscle fiber. And that means probably more muscle fibers fired and got fatigued if we're able to get that extra rep. Now, in the grand scheme of things, is that one extra rep enormous? Is that worth ounces of muscle? No. It could be worth fractions of a gram of muscle. But it adds up and it accumulates. Okay, because let's say you started with 100 pounds for 8, then you get it to 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever. You go to 105. And you keep going for months and years, and eventually that 100 for 8 turns into 225 for 10 on an exercise. That is an enormous difference. That is an absolutely enormous difference in stimulus. And I want to be clear, this is all irrespective of training volumes. Yes, training volumes themselves, when they're hard, can help produce muscle growth. But if that progressive overload is there and we see it in any measurable amount, even a slow amount, even very low volumes of training are causing muscle growth. Okay? And you know that. So even if you're only doing 3, 5 sets, whatever, but you're seeing some progress over time, especially if you're not a novice anymore, you probably are seeing muscle growth. That is evidence that your programming is working. That is evidence that you are gaining muscle fiber thickness. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.